ChatGPT is facing day 9 of advent of code. Let's see how it handles it. So I will take the problem description starting from here to here. And then we say, please solve the following problem. Use sample input to validate your solution. Then run the solution against input file which is attached. So this is the problem description. I will put in the input file and let's see what happens. Okay, so it's had a small issue parsing this input because it was expecting it to be even length, but it can be odd as well. And the result is this number, which I don't think is true. Have you validated against the sample input? This is not correct. So it's interesting that I directly provided the instruction that it should use the sample input to validate the solution, but it didn't in the end. Okay, so it seems to work for the sample input. Well, it doesn't actually. It's actually not right. Well, that is interesting. It's just stating it is correct for the given example, but the checksum is not correct. It's 1976 and here it's 1928. So for the sample should be 1928. So that is odd. It seems you can see the compacted state looks completely different than what is supposed to be. There should be like 00998 and so on, and that is not happening here. So it is not able to understand the file ID's logic correctly. Yeah, it seems this doesn't seem too promising for ChatGPT. So now it's stuck processing some kind of verification, but doesn't bode very promising for ChatGPT for this day. And part 2 is just a more complex version of part 1, but it really depends on it correctly understanding the file IDs. And if it does not understand that, it is not possible that it could actually solve it correctly. So what I will do, I will try once more, take the whole input here and see if a completely new window has a better chance. But if it doesn't pick up on the file ID structure, then it's going to be a problem for ChatGPT. Okay, now it's calculating the checksum, but it's taking quite a bit of time. Somehow, way longer than it should. I mean, the IDs now do make sense, at least a bit more than before, I guess. But although I'm not sure even here, it's like, does it? Okay, it just creates actually the representation of the string, of the full string itself. Okay, so again, it ended up with this weird number that is definitely not right. So somehow this problem is not something that ChatGPT can handle. It seems like it just has too much problem understanding the description itself. So I will just try to do the second part. So this is wrong, but try to solve. Well, doesn't seem so likely to finish. So I think we can officially pronounce today's problem too complex for ChatGPT to understand, at least in terms of understanding the problem description, because it seems like it's doing some calculation there, but actually, wait a second. That is again a big surprise, and we have seen this on one of the previous days, that it is completely unable to solve the first part of the problem, but then suddenly solve the second part of the problem without any issue. And even though it took longer, much longer than I would expect, and probably it was doing some kind of inefficiencies there, probably because it was reading or constructing the whole huge string in memory to see the disk map, but in the end, it was able to solve the second part of the problem. And actually, after I pronounced it as incapable. So I have to excuse myself. In this case, ChatGPT was able to solve the second part of the problem, even though it was unable to solve the first part of the problem correctly. So that's an interesting result. And yeah, it seems like, again, ChatGPT surprised us. We'll see if it will continue on day 10, and if it's able to solve again both parts of the problem, because it had issues like this. And it is surprising, definitely, that the easier part of the problem is actually harder for ChatGPT to solve. Well, surprises everywhere, right? So thank you for joining this session. I will see you on day 10.